one day when I was watching my three grandsons, who were 2, 4, and 6 years old, God spoke to me again. And he says, "Oh, make eye pillows for the boys." Okay, fine. So I picked some fun fabrics. I took them over there when I was watching them. And of course, they started tossing them because they thought they were beanbag toss things. And they do kind of look like that.
Welcome to the Life by Design podcast. I'm your host, Kim Ward, a certified master life and business coach, NLP practitioner, and your guide to building a life and business that you absolutely love. Here, we're all about empowering family-focused entrepreneurs to design a leveraged business that supports your dreams, your values, and most importantly, your family. Each episode, we'll dive into practical strategies, mindset shifts, and powerful insights to help you create unstoppable momentum and lasting success without sacrificing what matters most. Whether you're looking to grow your business or get unstuck or align your goals with your lifestyle, you're in the right place. So let's get intentional, let's get inspired, and let's design a life you love by design. Let's dive in. So when you think of grandma, most of us remember the cozy hugs and grandma's nurturing sense and her wisdom more than anything. Now there's the few select people who are fans of the song "Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer." That's not where we're headed today. And life is such a blessing, right? We never know where it's going to take us. And I met this beautiful, beautiful woman at an event a few years ago, and we've stayed in touch and stayed connected. And when I heard about what she's doing with her book and an extension of her book, Grandma's Magic Pillow, I knew that I had to bring her here to you. So, Karen Carlson, welcome. How are you?
I am fabulous. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. I'm always excited to share Grandma's Magic Pillows and what it can do, but really appreciate you having me on as a guest.
Every single time I talk with you, I leave in such a much better mood than I came. So I think I take more from you than I give. We'll have to exchange a little bit more. So before we get into Grandma's Magic Pillow and what that even means, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am a business owner. My business is Be Well and Renew, but I started very early in my life kind of mothering. So I had five brothers, no sisters, five brothers, and
Wow.
really was kind of groomed to be a wife and a mother and a homemaker. That was, what my mom did. She never worked outside the house.
Yeah.
So my youngest brother, who's 11 years younger than me, when he was born, his crib was in my room. I got up in the middle of the night and started feeding him and whatever. So I kind of started mothering or did tons of babysitting and stuff. So it was a natural thing. I got married young, had three boys in 4 years. So bang, 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 very busy.
Wow.
And that was kind of my job. And then when they were kind of in their teens, I felt like I think I'm gonna. I mean, I worked as like administrative assistant, secretary, reception, worked in the library, that kind of stuff part time.
Yeah.
And I felt like I think I'm gonna need more. So I started going to the community college locally. It took me 7 years to get my associates in general studies because I still didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yes.
And then the summer after I graduated, I was actually working in the yard picking strawberries, and God said, "You want to be a massage therapist?" I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I checked out a couple schools, enrolled in one of the schools. It was a 2.5 year program full time. And it was a real, I like to say, a real slippery slope. So it went from taking care of, my brothers, taking care of my husband, taking care of my children, taking care of, all these people, and then moving into something that I just, helped people feel good in a different way. So it was a fit. And there was a point when I really kind of doubted that, like, well, who am I if I'm not this, person taking care of everybody else? Who am I when I'm not a wife or a daughter or mother or, all of that? But then I had done some work with somebody, and they were like, your human design, if anybody's ever heard of human design, is all about nurturing. Everything that you do is
Mm,
about nurturing.
that makes
And
sense.
so it sort of flipped for me that it wasn't a flaw. It wasn't a lack in me. It was actually kind of my purpose. And
Amazing.
so it helped me. And so, and as a result of, so with my massage clients, I always use weighted eye pillows to help them kind of block out visual distractions, help them to tune in, calm down, quiet the body and the mind. One day when I was watching my three grandsons, who were 2, 4, and 6 years old, God spoke to me again and he says, "Oh, make eye pillows for the boys." Okay, fine. So I picked some fun fabrics. I took them over there when I was watching them. And of course, they started tossing them because they thought they were beanbag toss things. And they do kind of look like that. So here is one. So it's just a weight, it's filled with rice and it just lays over the eyes to block out the visual. And so I said, well, it helps grandma when I just get stressed or overwhelmed. Do you want to try it with me? So they laid on the floor. And of course, they were giggly and twitchy and wiggly and whatever. But after a few times of that, the 6-year-old came up to me and said, "Grandma, can I be quiet longer?" I'm like, what did you just say to me? I mean, I didn't do a double take. I did a triple take.
Yes.
And I realized as I was kind of networking from my wellness business and stuff, children are craving quiet as well, but they don't have the tools or the strategy to know how to block all of this that's coming at all of us all the time.
Yeah.
And so this weighted pillow is I call it a safe resource. It's simple, it's accessible, it's fun, and it's effective. It amazes me how receptive children are to this simple tool that works so well to help them quiet the body and calm the mind.
Oh, there's so much there, just knowing and really stepping into your purpose and your calling, and then that obedience from God. It's like, I know how many lives you have touched from the young to the older and everything in between. And before we started recording, you said, I just want to bridge that gap. Can you elaborate a little bit on what you meant by that between like the 3-year-old and the 18-year-old?
Published Grandma's Magic Pillows about 8 years ago. And then about a year and a half or 2 years ago, I felt this call to publish another book that is called Peacefully Parenting Adult Children. That's a whole nother ball game. So we think we think we've gotten through the hard part with infancy and toddlerhood and adolescence and teenage and stuff. Oh no, 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 no. I've been working on something and really trying to, as Kim said, bridge that between the 3-year-old and the 18-year-old, because I believe that in every 3-year-old is a future 18-year-old. And within every 18-year-old is still the 3-year-old. That 3-year-old that wants your love and your connection, that wants to feel protected by you, that wants you to be rooting for them. And so it isn't either or, it's both and. And it's understanding that as they've matured, they have moments of adulthood or grown up. But just like us, how many times do we revert back to kind of having a temper tantrum because things aren't going our way and stomping our feet or whatever, however you manifest that? They're the same. We can't expect that, okay, now they're 18, they're adults, they're grown-ups, they should be that way all the time. We're not that way all the time.
That's right.
And so the book is really about, to me, that peacefully parenting adult children. The most important word in the title of that book is peacefully.
Yeah.
It isn't just parenting adult children, it's peacefully parenting adult children. And so it's giving people some strategies and some input and some questions and some thought starters to kind of look at this phase of the parenting journey. Because once you're a parent, you're always a parent.
True.
You don't outgrow being a parent, even though they might not want your input at all.
Yes.
Trust me. Yeah.
That's so funny. And that's what I said to you. I'm like, I have to have you out because, my oldest is 25 and my youngest is 10. And my dad is in his 70s and I feel like I'm parenting him too. So maybe that's your next book, parenting your life. That are your children. There's so much truth to what you're saying. And I did hear someone one time, and I thought it was so well put. I'll probably botch it, but it was basically like, if we don't raise humans with a foundation, they're going to be broken adults or adults walking around as broken children on the inside. And so there's so much to what you're saying, but also to what you do. And I love that. It's the sensory overload. but you take it from like, let's ground, let's recenter,
Mhm.
and let's kind of get back on track and give us that space. So, what came first? The beanbag, as your grandsons called them, or the book, Grandma's Magic Pillow?
Well, as I said, I was using the eye pillows with my massage clients. So I was making them and I was, making them available to my clients. So that kind of came. And then when my 6-year-old grandson responded that way, I kind of realized as I was out networking and talking about it, and mom started saying, "You're right, you're right, you're right." And I just realized maybe I have something. You don't really think so. It's like, oh, it's just for my grandkids, just a little, thing.
Yeah.
And so then I kind of wrote the story of what had happened with these three busy little boys and kind of how life is unfolding for them and me being there and introducing them. And they actually got the name Magic Pillows when my daughter-in-law came home one day and the boys were having quiet time because I would tell them, we're going to push the pause button now. And they would run and get their favorite eye pillow and come and lay down. I would set a timer for 2 minutes or 3 minutes as we kind of worked up to it. She stood there and she says, "Well, this isn't how my little boys usually act. What is going on here?"
Ah,
And so when she kind of tried it with them, she said, "These pillows are like magic." And so that's how they got the name Grandma's Magic Pillows.
fantastic.
And it really, and so it was kind of the magic pillow came first, but then I really captured it. And it took me, just FYI, it took me 9 months to find an illustrator. It was like giving birth.
Wow.
But I found a really great illustrator. So here's a copy of it.
Look at
And she did a great job with all the illustrations and really telling the story of these busy little boys and trying Grandma's Magic Pillows. And in the back of the book I have some testimonials which I say are from the experts, so they're from kids, and kids that say it helps me calm down when I get angry, it helps me to sleep better, things like that. So it still surprises me because it feels like such a simple thing, but it has created such a profound response in kids. I mean, when I go into schools and read this book, and children lay down on the floor, and we just put a tissue over their eyes, and then I bring a variety of pillows with, and we lay them over their eyes, and they just, they're so receptive. They just lay there until I tell them to take it off. And one of the teachers last week said, "Oh, we needed to have this a long time ago. I've never seen them this quiet before."
that.
So I've had schools do pilot programs where I give them kind of a kit. So it has several eye pillows in the book. I have a facilitator guide. So it's questions to ask before reading the story and then questions after they experience the eye pillow. In some environments, I introduce the idea of prayer.
Mm.
So, like last week, it was in a Christian school, and I just said, "How many times do you ever want to just talk to God and you just have trouble kind of quieting down and either listening to God or talking to God? Because there's all this stuff going on all the time. And how much do we worry about our children having too much screen time?" And so then they kind of engaged with me about prayer and whatever. So there's a lot of different benefits from it beside reducing screen time and teaching them really a resource and a skill that will last them a lifetime.
That's amazing.
It
It
isn't
is.
about it
It's,
isn't about making children be quiet. It's about inviting them into a time of quieting the body and calming the mind.
and you're teaching them, and it's just incredible. I know that I've been on your website and I've seen the testimonials and I've seen you travel, and it's just incredible that no matter where you stop around this country, you get the same feedback. And everyone is
Mhm.
just so grateful that they found almost, I'll call like a coping skill, if you will.
Right,
And
right.
it adds the next level by having the storybook, Grandma's Magic
Hmm.
Pillows, as well.
Yeah.
So,
And I actually also have a YouTube of me reading the story, and the pages of the book are animated.
oh, I have to check that
So
out. And
it's another way for them to people. It's an unlisted when I give people when they purchase and stuff. I'll send
okay.
something that has the URL or whatever. But it's just another way of letting them kind of visually, having somebody read them the book. I mean, obviously having mom or dad read the book or grandma or whoever it is great. But it's just another way of sharing that. And then I have I actually made coloring pages from a couple pages of the book so kids
Amazing.
can have coloring pages. And then I created a card deck, and the card deck is called What Do You Think? And it is a deck of 20 cards, and they're really just thought starters. So it might say, what's your favorite way of coloring? Do you like markers? Do you like crayons? Do you like colored pencils? Or what was something nice that somebody did today? Or they're just thought starters. They're not really, they just have images from the book, but they're just a way of kind of engaging with kids and not just telling them what to do, or not really having that conversation and that connection. So whether it's over the dinner table or after school, just to give them, a lot of kids really like the eye pillow when they come home from school. Parents have said just to give them 10 or 15 minutes to decompress from everything that's happened in the school day, good, bad, and ugly, because kids can be mean and things happen, and
Yeah.
they're upset or whatever, or hurt feelings or whatever. And then they have a lot less arguing getting them to do their homework because they've had this time to make that transition from school to home and can just be present in a different way.
I love that so much. I mean, kids crave routine, but they also crave right there. It's like a grounding rod. It just allows them that space to decompress, release whatever they have going on in and around them to just
Right.
refocus, recenter, recalibrate, if you will, and then get
Right.
back to it. And we need that, as
Well,
women.
I actually tell people it's good for mommies and daddies. In the book, it talks about it's good for children and adults to have quiet time during the day. And so I tell people, model it for them. Get an eye pillow for you, because I have adult fabrics, and and so model it for them. You don't have to be like the Tasmanian devil running 24/7,
Yeah.
and they're just caught in between all of your stuff that you're trying to get done. Model for them it's okay to just be with yourself, to be calm and quiet and not be frazzled.
Yeah, I mean, look at how much importance we put on self-care for ourselves. Children are no different. Yeah, exactly. How do we get an eye pillow, by the way? Where can we find those?
Oh, actually, the website is Grandma's. It's plural, GRANDMAS, Magic Pillows, plural pillows. So Grandma's is, there's no apostrophe, but grandmasmagicpillows.com, and
Very
it kind
cool.
of gives you the about, how they kind of developed and how it happened, and then it gives you some options of getting a whole bundle that has the little card deck and the book, and pick the fabric for your kids. So I have this one. Kids love this one. It's got emojis on it. They always ask if it has the poop emoji.
Of course, of course. That's our favorite.
Exactly.
Kids and adults alike.
Exactly. So it's a great way to, and there are options there for the adult. And the adult ones are actually exactly the same size. They're no different in weight, they're no different in size. They just easily just lay over the eyes. And like I said, with the rice, it just kind of forms. And in the story, I talk about AJ, Jack, and Jace were my grandsons. And I said, AJ, Jack, and Jace were asked to lay down and be quiet, and they weren't even in trouble. But it was very odd in the middle of a sunny day when everything went black, because it just blocks out, the sunlight or the daylight and stuff like that. And but some kids that are afraid of the dark will use these at bedtime, and it helps them, which doesn't logically make sense. It's like, okay, now I'm going to put something over my eyes that's going to block any light that's coming in. But the weight of it actually taps into some acupressure points. And so it really signals the body, signals the vagus nerve to calm the body and quiet the mind. So beside the weight of it, people will ask, well, should I warm it in the microwave? And I said, you can, but I said, it's really the weight of it and removing the visual distractions that really helps more. And you have to be really careful with that, because the tissue around the eyes is really tender. And so if you get a hot spot in it and you put in the microwave too long, it could kind of burn your skin a little bit. So it really isn't necessary. And then people will also ask, well, do you put lavender in them? And
Mm.
I said, no, I do have lavender ones for adults, but for children, the lavender becomes a sensory stimulation. It's something else for them to process.
That's
Yeah.
why you're the expert, and we come to you. That's
I mean,
amazing.
it surprised me. It surprised me as well. It was just so fascinating to me. Like I said, what a simple tool it is, but how profound it has made a difference in so many children's lives and families. And like I said, it isn't about punishing them or putting them in a timeout with the eye pillow. Don't do that. Don't
Yeah,
make it a punishment, but make it an opportunity for them to just learn to be comfortable being quiet and not either being on a phone or watching a YouTube or watching, stuff on TV or whatever, but just learning to be with themselves without it being a punishment where you're sitting in the corner in a timeout.
I love that. Do you have a favorite story or a favorite piece of feedback from anyone who's used the pillow with great success? You have
I
so
would
many, but
say, yeah, there's a lot of them. So I was reading about a month or so ago, I was reading an early childhood setting. And there was a morning class and an afternoon class, and the teacher went from one to the other. Even though the kids were there all day, she moved from one class to the other. And for some reason, just spontaneously, sometimes I just like answering God, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to do this. So in the afternoon class, which was a much more mellow class than the morning, they were still 3, 4, and 5 year olds, but was just very different. And so at the end, after the kids, I usually split them in half. Half of them will lay down, put a tissue, put the eye pillow on, give them a minute or two, and then we switch. And the kids are so patient, sitting in a circle around them, waiting for their turn, or after they've already had a chance to experience it. So after the kids got all done, I had this brainstorm and I just said, I have a question for you kids. How about if we let Miss Angie and Miss Christy have some quiet time? And so the two teachers laid down on the carpeting where we were and just put the eye pillow on and just laid there. And the kids just sat perfectly still, just
oh,
letting them have this quiet. And then I snapped a picture of it. But when the main teacher was getting up and she was like on her knees, these kids just swarmed, literally swarmed around her and just were giving her hugs and stuff like that. I mean, they were just loving on her or whatever. And it was just the sweetest thing. It was just the sweetest thing that, the teacher got to try this too. They all tried it together. They had this shared experience. And it was funny because in the morning, she had told me that they have been every month they've been studying different authors, famous authors. I said, "Oh, well, that wouldn't be me." She goes, "No, no, no. You were the author this month." We started. Oh my goodness. I was like so shocked,
wow.
I mean, it was
Oh,
just really shocking. But even children who are nervous about it, because everybody's not going to be receptive to the same things, just like us. Some
yeah.
things appeal to us, some things are, I'm not really interested in, just like foods. And so they are a little nervous and a little standoffish and stuff. And we always say, you don't have to do this. You don't have to try this. You can just lay down if you want to, or you can just put the tissue over your eyes, give them some options or whatever. And there was this little boy who, I mean, he was like on the verge of tears. He was so anxious about, trying this. He really didn't want to. We said, it's okay. You don't have to. You don't have to. But he was kind of right in the middle of all of them that were trying it. And I don't want to say it's peer pressure, but he saw all of his classmates laying down, putting these eye pillows over their eyes and laying there. And he laid down and he tried the eye pillow and he didn't have any issues at all. And then
Oh,
afterwards, he came over. He's, Grandma Karen, can I give you a hug? And he said, it was magic. It was magic, Grandma Karen. And I just like, how can you top that? You
oh,
can't. You can't. It's
best
like I
job
said, it's so
ever.
simple, but it made a difference in him. And all of them. It's just like I said, surprises me how receptive they are to being calm. We think of kids, we think of these busy little bots that never stop or whatever. But what do they have that helps them to even attempt that?
Yeah.
It's they only quiet down when they're put in a timeout or they fall into bed at night.
How long has Grandma's Magic Pillows been around? Did you say?
I published the book in 2017.
So I'm curious, if not yet, I'm sure there will be. Have you had any littles use the product and then as they kind of grown throughout the years, get back to you?
I haven't had any of them come back to me, but my own grandsons, like they still like one of my grandsons, he's kind of crafty. He likes to color, he likes to craft. Last year he came for a week and spent it with us, and we painted a barn quilt for his mother as a gift. And so he likes doing crafty stuff or whatever. So he said when he was here last summer at the end, it was like time for him to go home. And he goes, Grandma, we haven't sewed anything yet. We have to make
Oh,
another eye pillow. And then he had a little stuffed bear. He loves black bears. So he had this little stuffed black bear, and he said, Grandma, can we make a little jacket for this? I'm like, oh, yeah, we could try to make a jacket for this little bear. So we did that. And he goes, can we make an eye pillow for Blackie? And so I made this tiny, tiny little thing or whatever. I mean, it was so funny. And actually, I have a stuffed hedgehog that is my assistant. So I bring it with us when I go and read the book. And I call him Hetty the Hedgehog. And so I can demonstrate to the kids after I've read the book, like what's going to happen when they try it. So we're just going to lay down and I put a tissue over. And then, so I have a hedgehog size eye pillow. So I
that's
said, now
cute.
yours are going to be bigger because you're bigger than Hetty.
Pretty
And it's
soon.
just interesting. But then I've had people who have ordered these eye pillows for their college students
Okay.
because if they're in a dorm and their roommate is up at all hours or something like that and they're trying to sleep, here you go. Put this weighted eye pillow on, blocks out all the light, and they can just kind of cut. So it really is. And my massage clients, they love it or whatever. I warm them. I just put them in a like a heating pad so it warms them up a little bit, and it's just yeah,
That's
it's magic.
fantastic.
It's magic.
I mean, you've,
Abracadabra, hocus pocus.
yes.
And my Pinterest on my Pinterest page, I actually did a one last year. I created kind of an avatar of Grandma Karen, and I said, "Meet Grandma Karen, the magician."
I love that. You've already had such great results in getting out into the world and seeing the testimonies and how the book, the story, and the pillows affect so many people. But I kind of want to know from you, like, what's your goal? What's the biggest goal with the combination of how you're reaching people between the story and the pillow itself? What would you like to see happen in the world?
I guess I'd like to see because what has happened is as I've gone into schools and done readings and things like that, the kids love it and they get all excited about it. I have bookmarks that I had made up that has all my information, pictures and whatever on it, that they can take home. So if their parents want to order them or something, and that hasn't really converted. And I feel as though I need to be talking to the parents
Hmm.
because they're the ones that are going to be purchasing it, but it's helping them understand the skill that you're instilling in these children. As I said, it isn't about making them be quiet. It's about inviting them into a behavior that you're kind of in training them into in little snippets and stuff. So whether it's going from 30 seconds to a minute and a half to 2 minutes. When my 6-year-old grandson, we were doing 2 minutes. And when he said he wanted to be quiet longer, and his 4-year-old and 2-year-old was, oh no. And so I said, here's what we'll do, AJ. I said, the next time we do it, when the 2-minute timer goes off, you just stay there and I'll set a timer for 3 more minutes and then you'll have your 5 minutes that he wanted. So the next time we did it, I did exactly that. His brothers got up, started playing, bopping around, doing whatever they were doing. He laid there perfectly still on the floor until that 3-minute timer went off. I
Oh,
was dumbfounded. So, children are different just as we are as adults. And
yes.
so some will adapt to it more quickly, some will not. It's just like anything else. It's not always for everybody, but it's introducing something that can really be beneficial. So I think to answer your question, I think it's trying to navigate to getting in front of parents, whether it's PTOs or whether it's parenting groups or whatever. It's helping to introduce this idea and all of the research that supports it, that
Mm.
really it's helping children learn this skill that will serve them when they're in high school and they're having anxiety attacks and they're having whatever, to have something that they can access really anytime. And help them to navigate better and be able to move through some of those difficult things, whether it's a social hurdle that they're trying to overcome with friends or with sports or with, whatever that might be, to help them have a tool that, once they know how to use it, it's not difficult. You just lay this over your eyes. It's not difficult, but having them exposed to that and having that become part of their toolkit, part of what they can access at their convenience. I've had moms with kids with ADHD, and they will ask mom for it because they like the fact that it's something that helps them to quiet the body and calm the mind. I'm extremely grateful and feel blessed that God kind of instilled this, in me and
Amazing.
made
And
it
grateful for
available
your
to
obedience to
others.
him. You've reached so many humans, and I can't imagine the humans that you'll continue to reach in the future. Um, I don't want to confuse our audience. I'm already thinking of so many teachers here in Tennessee that would probably love for you to be in their classroom. So I'm going to definitely share
I
this.
can always do Zoom.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So we definitely have to have you back out to talk about peacefully parenting adult children so we can kind
Mm,
of shift gears a little bit then. So I just want to thank you
mm,
so much for not,
oh,
coming out, for sharing your time, your story, your wisdom, your knowledge, and your obedience. When God shares something and puts it on our heart, we can either
mhm.
listen or
Or,
not. And I'm
oh,
grateful.
that's a ridiculous idea.
It
It's
is.
like, and sometimes that's how we respond. Well, that's a ridiculous idea. That would never, and
Right.
I really had trouble wrapping my head around it because it felt so simple that I didn't give it the value that it really
Yes.
provided. And so I kind of had to kind of push that aside and go, no, this really is something that has value for families, for educators, for children, really of all ages.
Karen, thank you so much for being our guest
Oh,
today.
my heart is full. Thank you for letting me share it. Yeah, you couldn't tell I get excited at all. I'm just kidding.
I love it. So we're gonna link all of Karen's socials, but the website is grandmasmagicpillows.com. Definitely check it out. You've got the coloring pages, you've got the cards, the conversation cards, so many great resources. We are raising the future generations of this world, and it's so important that we pour into them. So thank you for giving us another tool and a way to support these children.
Amen.
All
Amen.
right.
Thank you.
See you
Thanks so much,
soon.
Kim. I
My
appreciate it
pleasure.
so much. Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day, everybody.
You too. And hey, before you go, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. And as always, friends don't let friends grow and develop alone. So share this episode with someone you love and care about. We'll see you in the next episode.